Well, in case you missed us, we're back. It's the first episode of 2026 for the Hockey North podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Pauly, as always, and we'll get things started here with the Prince George Spruce Kings. It was a light weekend for them, just a one game on tap. They win 5-0 over the Surrey Eagles. Ryder Green, a 28-save shutout, his second of the season and third of his VCHL career. In the Copar Memorial Arena on Friday, Carter Hesselgrave also chipping in with a pair of helpers. Mason Lowen, a goal and a helper is there. So the Northern BC boys chipping in front and center in Friday's 5-0 victory over the Surrey Eagles. Prince George 1 point back of the Coquitlam Express for the Coastal East Division title, and a big road trip coming up for the Spruce Kings. 4 games in 5 days, starting at noon on Tuesday against the Langley Rivermen at the George Preston Memorial Arena. It's the school game where all the school kids will be making havoc and noise to, I guess, distract the Spruce Kings. They'll be taking on the Rivermen Tuesday at noon. Then Wednesday night, a big game there between the Express and the Spruce Kings, a showdown for first place, if you will. And then Friday, Saturday, a trip to the island against the Nanaimo Clippers and Victoria Grizzlies. One other note in regards to the BCHL, we're getting close to the roster movement deadline in that league, and Prince George's Kenyon McIsaac dealt to Coquitlam from the Spruce Grove Saints on Friday. So congratulations, Kenyon, on joining the Coquitlam Express. Coquitlam is first place by a point in the Coastal East Division in the BCHL, so some movement there for him. Got an action-packed episode for you as we have 2 Caribou Cougar alumni on the episode. Rylan Bissett of the Grand Prairie Storm of the AJHL. He joins us along with Grady Gustafson of the Okotoks Oilers. Gustafson and the Oilers just finishing up an interior road trip down in the interior, in the Kootenay area or so. A couple games there. One, of course, was against the Salmon Arm Silverbacks. So big road trip for them as they try and scratch out one of the final playoff spots in the BCHL. Prince George Cougars, 2 games on the road this weekend. They split a pair in Kamloops and Kelowna. They win in overtime in Kamloops, courtesy of a game-winning marker from Cooper Gazowski. Carson Carl's clutch with a pair of goals as well. While in Kelowna, they did fall to the host Memorial Cup Rockets on the Friday. They do remain 7 points back of the Penticton Vs for first place in the BC Division. 1 game in hand are the Vs in the race for first there. Tuesday night, the Cougars are back in action at home as they take on the Red Deer Rebels as we get set for the final 20 games or so in the Western Hockey League for the vast majority of all the teams. Prince George, really based on how tight the Western Conference is, could find themselves anywhere between 2nd and 5th, just how compact everything is. You've got the Blazers and the Rockets still kind of in behind them, a few points back respectively there. So getting down to the nitty-gritty as we've passed the trade deadline in that league. In the BC Elite Hockey League, all the Caribou teams were off on a bye this week. The Northern Capitals were down in Vernon at the Rink Memorial Tournament. They're playing a handful of games. They'll be back in action next week as well. They've got 4 games in a bit of a showcase-style tournament to speak of there. Their last home weekend in Prince George will be February 21st and 22nd against the Thompson Okanagan Lakers. Then it's playoff time as it's the end of February. It's going to be playoff time for all the Caribou hockey and U15, 17, and 18 teams as well. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty in that level as well when it comes to the regular season schedule. So it's about to get fun for everyone here, including all of us on the media side. Shifting gears to the Kootenay International Junior Hockey League was a great weekend for Jackson Dicker, who had made 83 of 86 stops and a pair of wins for the Williams Lake Mustangs as they have clinched a playoff spot in that league. Williams Lake second in the Doug Burks division, 12 points back of the Kamloops Storm. Williams Lake a record of 21-11, 1-3. Quesnel River Rush, they are 19-14, 3-1 on the year. They're in the process of clinching a playoff spot if they have not already, so getting some key reinforcements there. Of course, lots of Caribou-born players on the Williams Lake Stampeders. Logan Howe, Keenan Holland, Declan Pocock, Blake Collison in there as well. Josh Gendron, who's now with the Quesnel River Rush. And, the names go on and on here. Sam Bogle, who was an AP with the Caribou Cougars U18 team last year, he's a member of Williams Lake. So lots of familiarity there. Prince George's Rylan Davis, who just got back from a junior hockey league in Ontario, he is now signed with the Castlegar Rebels of the KIJHL. He's at a point per game pace there as well. So congratulations, Rylan, on getting off to a hot start there. And without any further ado, we'll dive into this week's guest on the podcast. First up here is Rylan Bissett. After starting the year with the Chilliwack Chiefs, playing 5 games for them, he was shipped off to the Grand Prairie Storm. Since that time, he's just under a point per game for them, but getting his offensive confidence back in Northern Alberta. And here's my chat with Rylan Bissett on everything Grand Prairie Storm. Well, from Chetwynd to Grand Prairie, it's been a pretty good transition to Alberta for Rylan Bissett, the Caribou Cougar graduate who joins us here on the Hockey North podcast now. Rylan, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's obviously great to be on here.
All right, Rylan. So obviously you're a year removed from graduating from the Caribou Cougars program. You're a point per game player at the U17 and U18 levels for all 3 of your seasons with Caribou. Now you've transitioned to the junior A ranks. You started off in Chilliwack. Now you're with the Grand Prairie Storm after an early season trade. Seems like you've found your stride since joining the Storm. 15 points, 23 games. How has it been for you?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. It's definitely a transition going from U18 to juniors, but the last couple of months, I think I've definitely found my place and picking up the pace and everything.
Yeah, and it seems like your offensive opportunities have been a little bit more abundant. You've been putting up the numbers. How much do you feel like you have your offensive confidence back after getting traded to Alberta?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a little more opportunity here. I think I feel like I got, but yeah, I think I just realized, I can be an offensive help. So I just started doing that.
Let's talk about the team that you have in Grand Prairie. Obviously, it's getting close to the stretch drive here in the junior season. We're approaching the trade deadlines in most of the leagues. We're heading into the final. I want to say just over a third of the calendar for a lot of the teams across Canada. How do you feel the team is shaping up heading into the home stretch?
I think we're doing really well. Since I've came in here, I know I came in here, we were about a 500 team, but currently we've been picking up. We went on a 10-game heater, then we're currently on a 7-game heater right now. We're second in the league, going for first right here, right behind Whitecourt. So I think we're shaping up really well. Made some really good trades, got some really great players on the team too.
Yeah, and it's a really strong division in the North. You talk about Whitecourt, Fort McMurray, Lloydminster, 4 teams, 7 points apart. You're right in the thick of it here. Whitecourt does have a game in hand on you, being 4 points up, but it just seems like it's the type of division, and you can even include Bonnyville and even Devon, who's last in that division in sixth. Really not the type of division at all where you can take a night off.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Every night we try to put our best out there, and we have been for a long time now. Like you said, it's a super hard division, and we're just gonna keep climbing here, I think.
What makes your team or the core of your team so effective? You talked about the winning streaks, but what seems to be clicking for your team?
I believe our team's super deep. I think we have one of the deepest teams in the league. We from our first to fourth line, there's not much drop off, I believe. So I think that's what we just roll over teams who have to play 2 lines 20, 30 minutes a night. We can just roll every line, and we're super effective that way, and we just wear teams down.
Yeah, and of course, you've got some goaltending there. You've got Leland Gill, who's played a year. You got Hudson Perry as well on the team. You seem to be pretty stacked in every position. I know sometimes games come down to matchups, regardless of whether you're home or away. But it seems like you've got the type of roster where it doesn't really matter who you put out there. You're confident in whether they're first line, fourth line, whatever. It seems like you've got a team that can contribute in all areas of the ice.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think every line can play every, position, every like I think we're just really good all the way through, and we can play in any scenario, I think, for each line.
Now let's go back a little bit here. Let's go back to your time with the Caribou Cougars. You played your U15 prep out in Okanagan, then you decided to come closer to home, commit to Caribou. You played 1 year with the U17s, where you put up 22 goals, 14 assists, point per game guy in both the playoffs and the regular season. Do believe that Stu Lambert was your coach that year. That was a good team in that season 2 years ago, where you had a lot of talent. Of course, much of it graduated on to the U18 level, including yourself. What made that team a couple seasons ago so exciting to watch and to be around?
That team, I think, I think we just liked each other so much. The team was just I felt it was super strong. We had a bunch of great players on that team, like you said, bunch of talent that moved on to play U18 with me. Our coaching staff was unbelievable. Like as you talked to Lambert, he was a great coach. Same with Astrino and Steven Penner. They're all really great coaches. That obviously helped a lot. And then our team just wanted to win. I think at the end of the day, we all just wanted to play hockey. We were all just eager out there, like show ourselves, and and like I said, like on our kind of our team now, like 1 through 4, all our lines were pretty even, I believe there. So it obviously just helps us being able to roll over teams.
Yeah, and then you have two really good years with Caribou, 2023, 2024, and then last year, 54 points and 60 points respectively. Just taking a look at your stat lines from the 2 years on the U18, you had 16 goals, 38 assists, 54 points, point per game guy. Then last year, you kind of flipped it around where you scored 35 times out of 25 helpers. In that year in 2023-24, did you kind of see yourself more of a facilitator of the puck with a guy like Isaiah Bagri on your team?
Yeah, definitely. I think that year kind of had to flip the script, flip the script a little bit. We had Isaiah Baggery, great goal scorer. Same with we had great goal scorers on the teams, like Mason Lowen, he can put the puck in that, like Logan Houck, some of those players. And it was just, super easy for me to just get them the puck, and I knew they would score pretty much was the bottom line. So yeah.
Yeah, and just taking a look at this roster here from even 2 years ago, and I guess even last year there was quite a bit of carryover, but a lot of these players, on the team from 2 years ago, Bagri, Lowen, yourself, Gustafson, Landon Alexander, Hauk McIsaac, Owen Wilkinson, William McKay, Jackson Larmont is property of the Prince George Cougars, Tyson Matthews, Josh Gendron, Jack Tidsbury. Ben Fofanoff, he wasn't a full-time guy on that roster 2 years ago, but he played quite a few games, and you got Jackson Dicker, Ryder Green, Andrik Ligas, even Sam Bogle, who was APing for that team, 2 years ago. They're all playing some semblance of junior hockey, whether it's the traditional junior A route or they're playing in the KI. Just goes to show you like how deep and how, I guess, junior caliber that talent pool was for your team 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, we had a bunch of amazing players on that team, and it's very happy to see all of them go their own path. But yeah, like you said, there's a bunch of great talent on the team. That's definitely what made us successful.
Then last year, you became a lot more of a shooter. You had 35 goals, as mentioned. Your office there was kind of that one area just outside the face-off dot where you like to light up those one-timers and score on the power play. You sent the Teddy Bears flying on that Teddy Bear toss game last year against the Thompson Blazers. What kind of changed for you, kind of going from the mentality of a passer and a playmaker to a shooter, knowing that you would be one of the main guys now to put the puck in the net, and you know you could pass the puck if you wanted, but the opportunity to be a lot more selfish with the puck was certainly there for you.
Yeah, no, stepping into that role. Obviously, start of the season, I had a conversation with coaches. They wanted me to be more of an offensive weapon and be a shooter. And that position we talked about, that power play position, that one timer was one of the huge ones we talked about. Just being able to shoot the puck, and they wanted me to shoot the puck, so that's basically what I did, and still passed it when I had the opportunity to.
Yeah. What is it about, the program and the coaching staff, whether it be U17, U18, what is it about that program as a whole that gets so many players ready for the junior level? Because we see it a lot with the girls too, where, they go from Capitals to ACAC or university or wherever. We see it with a lot of guys too. A lot of guys end up signing with junior A teams. Some go to the WHL, a healthy amount go to the KI, but it just seems like every year there seems to be, a pretty high turnover of players in any of the program that seem to make that jump to the next level.
Yeah, I think it's just how it's built. The program, I think it's just super well thought out. They're gearing you up for that junior level. The ice times we get is unbelievable with our school ice. The coaching is exactly what it is in junior. Just everything's just built towards getting us to that next level, and they do a really well job of that.
Mhm. Let's take us through last season as well. You go out all the way to the finals. You kind of fall one goal short in somewhat controversial fashion. Just talk about how special last year's team was for the Caribou Cougars. Going on that playoff run, you had that dramatic, I think, triple overtime win against the Hawks in the second round. You had to claw your way back a couple times in rounds two and three. But it's a pretty exciting season and a good run. Just ended on a bit of a sour note.
Yeah, it was a great season. Ended up finishing first. That was obviously really special for our group. It's been a while since the Caribou team's done that, so that was obviously really awesome. Yeah, the playoffs, obviously, we had some ups and downs, but I think overall it was a great experience for some of the guys. Definitely a bonding moment for most of us. Yeah, like round one was really good. Round two, when we beat the Hawks in triple OT, I got the assist on that goal. It's probably one of the best goals we scored all year. That's probably one of my favorite memories. Yeah, and the finals, it happens, like stuff happens, but I was just really happy to be there, to be honest with you. Not many players get to, and I'm glad I got to experience it.
Mhm. Let's go back a bit further here, Rylan. You're originally from Chetwynd, up in the Peace region, I guess. First and foremost, what got you involved in hockey, and at what point in your minor development did you think you had a chance to go pretty far, either in the midget AAA or junior levels?
Yeah, so my parents got me into hockey. I was 2 when I started skating, and they put me in at 5. And then from there, I did well. I did well in Chetwynd, and then I was like, maybe I went to Dawson Creek, did really well there. Went to Fort St. John for a year, did well there. Then I was like, and then got an opportunity to go down to the Okanagan, and then that's when it really started to take off. Spent a year there, 3 years here, and then I just love the game, and I just want to play it as long as I can.
Yeah. Was there just a point in your skill development where you kind of experienced a bit of a breakthrough? You talked about excelling in different communities across the Peace region there, going from, Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, and then to the Okanagan. But was there any, one year in particular where you thought, hey, I might have a chance at this?
Yeah, that was probably my last year in Cheltenham, to be honest with you. Crazy, we had a crazy stat line. I put up like 170 points or something in like 36 games. And at that point I was like, yeah, I'm actually not too bad at this. So I was like, I'll probably take this as far as I can. I love the game, so yeah.
Now, of course, with the Grand Prairie Storm, in that junior setting, what are maybe some of the similarities or differences between the BCHL and the AJHL? Obviously, there's the sanction difference and obviously the bigger rosters, but just in terms of like style of play and just some of those subtle little details of the game itself, is there anything that you've noticed going from league to league so far this year?
Yeah, I think the AJL's maybe a little younger. I think we pull in a lot more younger guys. You see a lot more on our team. We have a bunch of 07s and 08s and stuff. but it's also a little more grittier, I think. There's a lot more hitting in this league. It's a lot more, physical contact, a little less skill play, but there's obviously still is, but there's definitely differences, and I think it's a great league for young players, I think.
Yeah. What is the chatter? And I've asked this question a lot over the past year. I'll ask you this too, but what's the chatter like either amongst your current teammates or even some of your Caribou teammates from the past year in regards to the whole rule and eligibility change where players that play major junior, of course, are eligible to play NCAA, and it's also allowed junior A players to seize any opportunity they can at the major junior level. What's the conversations like from a player point of view in the room about their whole rule change?
Yeah, obviously, there's pros and cons to it. And Dubs, the WHL and the OHL, the whole CHL, that's obviously a goal now for everyone, not just some people anymore. But the rule just, some players just they spent their whole life trying to make it to the and like Division 1, and they just don't end up getting doing that now because so many players are getting filtered through, right? You kind of take spots away from kids, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to make the best teams possible, and it gives a lot more opportunity to some players.
Yeah. Was there anybody that you looked up to or idolized or tried to pattern your game after growing up, or anybody that you kind of look up to now that you try and take something away from?
Yeah, so like in the NHL, JT Miller is probably my favorite player. I try to style my play after him a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And anything in particular that you like about the way that he plays that you try to apply?
Yeah, he's a physical player. He can still, obviously he puts up the points still. I like that aspect, being a 200-foot power forward is kind of the role I want to play too.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, in the division in the league that you're in, obviously that's obviously um, a bit of a requirement. I know you haven't been in the Alberta League too long, but is there like a favorite road rink that you have enjoyed playing in so far?
Favorite road rink. There's lots of good rinks here. I haven't been to all of them yet. I'm still gotta go to Camrose and White Court, but um, the Max Bell Center is obviously really nice. The one Calgary plays in. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite so far.
Yeah. What does your pregame routine look like?
My pregame routine, it's pretty casual. I like to keep her just nice and light. Don't really focus on the game too much. Just trying to be just like another day, basically for me. That's where I try to put it in. Just don't get too inside my head, and then I juggle probably 10, 15 minutes before I'm supposed to get ready. That's about where I start locking in for the game.
Are you somebody that likes to keep by themselves and put the music in, or does that matter to you at all?
No, it doesn't matter. Usually I'm out with the boys. We're playing Sue. We're just having a good time, like taping sticks, like play lots of Sue. But 15 minutes before the game, I'll put the AirPods in. I'll get my juggling in, and then then that's when I lock in. That's when I need to that's when I'm by myself.
Yeah. Any pregame meal that you have to have, or do you put your right skate on first, left skate on first, anything like that?
No, I try not to be superstitious just because any day could mess it up, and then you just think you're gonna have a bad game, just doesn't work out. I just try to keep everything just nice and just fluent, and what happens happens, and just trying to play the best game.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have a fun one here. So you're stranded on a desert island with three of your teammates from the storm. Who would you want to take with you and why?
From the Storm, that's a tough one. There's some good teammates on here. I'll probably take Ethan Crean. He's one of our D-man. Plays he signed in Seattle, played a few games up there. He's a really good buddy of mine. He's just a good guy to be around, and I could definitely put him to work. Some other guys, I gotta think here. We have this guy named Riley Gerbrandt. He's really good, and he's just really good at helping out and stuff. So I think he'd be really good too.
Yeah.
One more. Hmm. Hmm. I think here, maybe our captain, maybe Colin Doherty. He's just a good guy, and he's just he'll definitely just help us out in all areas, I think.
Yeah. All right. One other question I did have for you, and you can answer this as well. What's it like being a part of a team that's, really like embedded in the community? I know that for the longest time, Grand Prairie was a community-owned team in the AJHL. I'm not sure if it's the exact same way now, but what's it like to be part of a community similar to Prince George, where, the players can kind of be like rock stars sort of thing, where you're kind of the only game in town?
Yeah, no, it's actually awesome. It's the best feeling, you get kids coming up to you, asking if you play for the Storm. Like we just did we call it Literacy Week, and we just went to the schools and stuff. So I was just in a school today, and the kids are just so excited to see us, and it just makes you feel awesome. It's just really awesome. We have a really great crowd. We bring I'd say we bring the best crowd in the AJ to our games, and it's just really nice having the whole community back us.
It feels like, does it kind of get pretty loud and pretty packed, and maybe you kind of feel that energy when you score a goal, or when you take to the ice, it kind of gives you a psychological advantage?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. If you look at our home record, we're 15-2 right now. Being at home is a lot. The fans, they definitely help us a lot. And when you score, it means more at home. Everything just means more when you're at home. So we definitely play a lot better at home.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast, Rylan. It's good to see that you're having the success that you are with the Storm, and best of luck to you and the rest of your team heading into the end of the regular season and playoffs. And maybe we'll do this again sometime.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That was my interview with Rylan Bissett on this week's episode of the Hockey North podcast. Before we tip things off to Grady Gustafson, we'll actually touch on the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League and MJHL standings as well. While we have a moment, no shortage of Caribou and Northern talent in that league as well. Weyburn Red Wings top spot in the Bunge division there, where it's 55 points for them, 26-12, 1-2 on the year. Josh Sale, a member of the Weyburn Red Wings, as well as fellow Northerner and Prince Rupert product Callis Pierce. So they're enjoying a good season there. 3 points up on the Yorkton Terriers for the division lead. We got Merrick Mamek and Ben Poffenoff with the Humboldt Broncos. They're currently third in the Nutrien division. They're setting at about 500 for now. So Poffenoff predominantly playing in the top four for the Broncos on a nightly basis. Merrick Mamek coming back from injury, restarting his junior A venture with the Broncos. And of course, down in Flin Flon, you do have Landon Alexander, Ray Arbery with the high-flying Bombers. They are first once again in their division as well, 12 points up on the Nipawin Hawks. And taking a look at the MJHL, after a magical start, the Selkirk Steelers find themselves in a fight to make the playoffs in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Carson Brooks, a member of the Selkirk Steelers, 2 assists, 35 games, over 90 penalty minutes there for the Smithers product. Well, fellow Caribou Cougar grad Peyton Lake Cote, also a member of that league. He's from Cecil Lake. He's got 4 points in 12 games for them as well in the MJHL. Will McKay playing in the top 6 for the Portage Terriers in the MJHL. They are higher up in that division. Same division as Selkirk. As we take a look here, Portage 26-12, 1-0. They are 13 points back of the second place Steinbach Pistons. So again, the MGEU East Division, pretty predominantly tough there. Niverville Nighthawks having a dream season there at 38-1-0. And then in the AJHL, like we mentioned, Rylan Bissett and the Grand Prairie Storm, 5 points back of the Whitecourt Wolverines for top spot in the North Division. There, of course, we have Riley Peterson, now the Bonnyville Pontiacs Smithers product, playing in that division as well. They are 2 games over 500 are the Pontiacs. Scrolling things down in the south, we do have Brody Martin and David Hoy, Prince George and Fort St. James. They are members of the Olds Grizzlies. They are a point up on the Drayton Valley Thunder for last in that division. So there you have it there. In the NCAA, we also have Miguel Marquez, former Lethbridge Hurricane. He's from Prince George. He's having a great year. University of Maine, 17 points, 25 games there. We'll probably do our full rundown next week. We're short on time just based on the length of our 2 interviews in this show. But without any further ado, here's our second guest on the podcast. It's Okotoks Oilers forward and Williams Lake product, Grady Gustafson.
Back on the Hockey North podcast here with me now is Williams Lake product and the Caribou Cougars alumni, Grady Gustafson. Grady's in his first year with the Okotoks Oilers of the BCHL. They are in the midst of, I guess, battling out for one of the last playoff spots in their conference this year. Grady, how are things going with you right now?
Yeah, they're good. Like you said, just trying to find that last playoff spot, and yeah, I'm enjoying it down here.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough division that the Oilers find themselves in this year. When we take a look at the interior as a whole, it's pretty loaded. You've still got the likes of Brooks, but you have Blackfalds having the year that they are in the division, and of course you still got Spruce Grove, Sherwood Park. I mean, you have 3 teams over 500. I mean, you're right there as well, but there are a couple teams that are having some really good years in front of you. It just seems like it's one of those divisions, Grady, where you can't really afford to take a night off.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, one of the things in our room is, there's never going to be an easy night in this league and in this division for sure. And like you said, those top 3 teams are super skilled and play super heavy games. So, anytime you're playing an Alberta team, it's going to be a tough night.
Now, you had the opportunity last year of not only signing with Okotoks, but APing with them in the playoffs and kind of getting a taste of what the BCHL was going to be like for you this season. How much did that help you and kind of give you an advantage going into training camp over the summer?
Yeah, for sure. It was super nice to, kind of get your foot in the door, see how the coaching style and, meet some of the guys. And then obviously, facing up against Penticton in the playoffs there was a tough challenge, but, it's nice to see the pace of the league and just kind of where I needed to be for the next year.
Yeah. You only have 4 points right now in 27 games played for the Okotoks Oilers. I guess what type of role are you kind of occupying right now for the hockey team, and how do you feel your development curve has been at from the start of the year up until now?
Yeah, obviously it's a challenging league, skilled league, fast league. It's definitely an older league as well. I mean, the amount of 20-year-olds you're now allowed is a lot higher than previous years. So as a younger guy, it's tough to have super big meaningful minutes. But I think my role right now is kind of just being that energy guy. A good teammate on the bench. Whenever I get my shift, just trying to get out there, put on a forward check, get a couple hits, kind of play that role. So for sure.
Mhm. I guess just take us through your first BCHL goal of the year that you had. It came November the 15th against Spruce Grove. You also had 12 penalty minutes in that game, but just take us through your first BCHL goal there that you had in mid-November.
Yeah, it was right at the start of the game in Spruce Grove. My 2 line mates, Marco Lusica and Jeff Nahus, made a good play down low. I was kind of F3 in the slot. Took a shot, got blocked by their defenseman, made a good play, and just kind of followed up on the rebound and was able to tuck that one in.
Yeah, and that game ended up being the game winner in that one, and you had 2 empty netters in that game, of course, to come away with a 3-0 victory there. Um,
Mhm.
what's life like in Okotoks for you right now as a junior hockey player? What's it like being in that community? As a junior A player, what's the support like amongst the fans and the community members towards the players? What's that like for you on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool opportunity to be able to, go out to the rink and have 1,000 people, over 1,000 people, come out and watch you. especially in a town like Okotoks. I think it's definitely a hockey community. The rink's kind of always busy. There's always teams playing, different high level teams. Lots of competitive hockey, and yeah, I think it's pretty special to kind of be a role model in the community for the younger kids that are at the rink and having that support. Lots like I said, lots of people coming out to the games and recognizing you around the community and being able to do some community involvement stuff is definitely pretty cool and pretty special.
Yeah, you're about give or take 40 minutes from Calgary. Um, what's it like to kind of be in that greater Calgary area where, on an off night you can, watch a Flames game or take in a Hitmen game or just have access to kind of that. I don't want to say big league field because you're living kind of away from it, but just knowing that that's kind of within arm's length of you, it's got to be feel pretty good, and you don't really have to go that far to garner some inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. Okotoks is a smaller town. Growing up in Williams Lake, it's kind of nice to have that small town feel still. But like you said, the big town's right there, and all the big town amenities are right there. And yeah, I've made it out to a few Flames games. Yeah, probably 4 or 5 now. And like you said, it's definitely cool to get out and see those guys play. I mean, obviously they're the best in the world for a reason, so it's cool to kind of take inspiration from them. And yeah.
You talked about Okotoks having the same small town feel as your hometown of Williams Lake. Okotoks roughly 35,000 people now, give or take. But what are some of maybe the similarities between Okotoks and Williams Lake?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a ranching community out here, and lots of good people, down to earth people out here as well. So it's similar to Williams Lake in that style, and kind of just being around the rink feels very similar. Lots of younger teams running around, lots of high competitive hockey. It's kind of just like a hockey town. You can tell when you get here, it's people really enjoy their hockey and pride themselves in their hockey. So definitely say that's a similarity.
Yeah. Let's go back here a little bit, Grady. You came up through the Caribou Cougar system playing U15, U17, U18, coming up all the way through and finding yourself in Junior A now with the Okotoks Oilers. Um, just take us back through that first season in the Caribou system, 21, 22. You were an assistant captain on that team, 15 points in 30 games. And then, of course, making the jump to play U17 the next year. Um, just take us through that season in terms of like as I don't want to say a stepping stone for your development, but it led to the opportunities you had now with U17 and U18, where it just seemed like your offensive confidence and your complete game as a whole seemed to really blend in after that.
Yeah, for sure. I think coming in from Williams Lake, obviously Williams Lake's a big hockey town, lots of good hockey there, but Caribou Cougars was definitely a step up from that, and going down to play all the teams of the coast and stuff was definitely a step up. So coming into my U15 year, definitely was a bit of a challenge. Like the level of hockey definitely jumped from playing Williams Lake. So yeah, I mean, and like you said, the development path of my offensive game and that sort of thing is, I think it just goes to show the how good of a program Caribou really is. Developing their players from U15 to U18. I think all the coaching staff has done a phenomenal job. All the training staff, media, everything. It's really as close as you can get to playing in a junior hockey club. So I think it just kind of goes to show that how professional Caribou is and how good of a program it is.
Yeah. And I also want to extend that into the U17 year you had, 22, 23. That was a really good team as well. Obviously, you didn't get maybe as far as you wanted in the playoffs, but you had, a really good team. You and Ian Biz were top two in scoring. You had William McKay, who was ranked third. I mean, there's a lot of players on that roster in the U17 year that you either played with in U18 the following year or have now gone on to graduate from the system to play junior hockey. And, even though you didn't quite reach the end goal for that team, it just kind of goes to show you how good of a group that you had and how close that team really was to winning it all, just based on how many players have gone up to play level to play junior from that roster.
Yeah, like you said, that lots of players have graduated and gone on to play junior, and I think it's more than deserved. I think that team was super fun to play on for me personally. I think it was a really good group of guys that kind of worked super hard day in and day out, and obviously, like you said, we didn't get the end goal that we might have wanted, but I think like you said, a lot of players moved on from that team and went and played junior, so super good.
Yeah, and also too, we'll go into last year as well. Again, not quite the ending you're looking for, especially with the way things ended up in overtime. But that was another really good group there. You, Biz, Larmy, top three goal scorers there. You have Blake Collison, who was ranked fourth in scoring on the U18 team last year. That seemed like a very close-knit and very special group. And again, it showed on the ice just based on the amount of times he won. You scored a really big goal there against the Hawks in game one of that second round series. Just take us through last season and reflect on, a lot of the highs that you did experience on that roster last year.
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite year playing hockey. That group of guys was super tight knit, and the locker room was super fun to be around. Kind of just every day getting better with those guys, and I think that was a championship team in my mind. Obviously, didn't end the way we wanted to, but one goal would have been the difference there. And yeah, I mean, lots of talent, lots of guys who'll go on to have good junior careers. Like you said, a couple names there, Vardy and junior, and then a couple more names coming through this year that'll make the jump to junior for sure. So super happy to be a part of that team and be a part of that championship run. And obviously, yeah, it didn't work out the way we wanted, but those memories will stick with me for the rest of my life.
And of course, too, you had the year prior where you lost in the second round of the Chiefs. You had guys like Isaiah Baggery, Mason Lowen, Landon Alexander, Reed Arbery the year prior, Owen Wilkinson. A lot of these guys, as I mentioned, are playing junior year right now. You have obviously Ryder Green starring in the crease with the Prince George Spruce Kings, Jackson Dicker with the Williams Lake Mustangs. It probably goes without saying, Grady, that you keep in touch with quite a few of them as they go through their junior hockey journey. And I would imagine with a lot of the guys close by or even playing in your league, not that difficult to reach out to somebody.
No, for sure. Yeah, like I said, that room was super fun to be around, and definitely still stay in close contact with a lot of those guys and checking in on their seasons, how they're doing for sure, and had a chance to play against a couple of them. So yeah.
We touched on this before during the last time I interviewed you on the podcast. I'll touch on it again, but the KIJHL team, Williams like Mustangs clinching the playoffs, uh, tons of ex-Caribou guys on that roster, which we've already talked about a little bit. But even though that's not necessarily part of your development path, as you want to stay obviously in the main junior A leagues, but how nice is it to kind of see that program in your hometown, obviously having junior hockey back, like we talked about last year, is seeing them thrive and to kind of, try and take that step up compared to last year where they had a good run, but it just seems like this year with the roster they have, they seem primed to take that next step in the KI playoffs.
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, they're having a great year this year, and I think their coaching staff, their owners have done a really good job implementing hockey back into Williams Lake, junior hockey back into Williams Lake. I think their group, from the guys that I know, are super good players, and I think they just got Asher Lucas back from the BCHL, and he's having heck of an end of his year. I think last night he had 7 points or something crazy. So, I think they definitely have all the pieces they need to go on a big run here. And, obviously, like you said, a lot of Caribou guys on that roster. So, whenever I can catch a game and sit down and watch a game, I'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah. What are some of your earliest memories coming up through Williams Lake minor hockey and just kind of going through a lot of those teammates that you had in past years growing up as a youth? It goes without saying that the Williams Lake community has been, a key part of the pipeline for not only Caribou but also the Northern Capitals. What is it about their programs that kind of produces a lot of those midget AAA and high caliber junior A players?
Yeah, I think it's a super hardworking community. From all the people living in it, I think everyone's super hardworking, and I think there's just a really passion and a love for hockey there. And I think a lot of people just, whether it's skating on the outdoor rink or practicing playing with the Timberwolves, the Mustangs, the girls teams there, I think everyone just really loves the game of hockey and definitely like to pursue. And it's definitely showed in the Caribou programs, the junior Mustang programs, Caribou, the Capitals programs, and yeah, for sure, I think they've done a great job.
How does your pregame routine differ this year compared to last, now that you're living a bit further away? Anything change or different at all?
Yeah, the I don't know, it's pretty similar. I like my routines. Trying to keep the same routine as I had in Caribou. Lots of similarities. The warm up time is obviously different here now. Playing junior, you go out at 6:25, come back and you get a scrape in between, so that's a little different. But other than that, I kind of like to keep it the same. I got some couple superstitions that I like to do to have every night, and yeah, so it's pretty similar.
Yeah. Any certain pregame meal that you like to have at all?
It's always chicken and pasta. Always chicken and pasta.
Okay, perfect. All right, fun question. Stranded Island, 3 teammates on your current roster. Who are you wanting to take with you and why?
All right. I'll take Brett Wilson, my captain. Obviously, the leadership role there. I think he's a pretty good guy. And I'll take Eric Young, our starting goalie. Also, like I said, pretty good guy. I think I enjoy the time with him there. And then I'll take Ethan Anderson, bit of a goofy guy. I think he'd keep the morale up.
Yeah. All right, Grady. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for coming onto the podcast again. Good luck on your final push in the BCHL season, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch and do this again sometime.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Perfect.
Now is Grady Gustafson of Williams Lake, member of the Okotoks Oilers of the BCHL. You heard him on the podcast, as well as Rylan Bissett, 2 former Caribou Cougars, and that'll do it for our first episode of 2026 of the Hockey North podcast. Don't go away. We'll be back at it with more wall-to-wall coverage here in the coming episodes as we do a more full-scale review of the North in the coming shows. But once again, thank you for joining us. Thanks again to our guests, Rylan Bissett and Grady Gustafson. And we'll be back next time on another episode of the Hockey North podcast.